Hey there! For this weekly reading, we are using The Awakened Soul Oracle Deck by Ethony. Stay tuned if you want to see what cards come up. Hi, it's Leia. Welcome to this episode of Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life. For this weekly reading, like I said in the intro, we are using The Awakened Soul Oracle Deck, which is by Ethony. So before anything else, a little update. There are a few changes on this channel. I have been posting shorts rather than long-form videos lately, but that doesn't mean we are stepping away from long-form videos for those of you who do enjoy them. There's a transition happening here, and it might be next week or the week after that, while we are still going to have weekly readings. Since they're pretty much timeless anyway, I'm no longer going to date them, and there will be something else that's different about them. So stay tuned for that. Once that change happens, I might go back to filming more than one long-form video a week. But yeah, if you miss seeing more content on this channel, take a look at the shorts if you haven't yet in the meantime. For those of you who are new here, first of all, hey there, and secondly, here's a little background as to how we do readings here. The readings on this channel are not predictive. Our focus here is on self-awareness, healing, and shadow work. If you've never heard of shadow work before, this is when we do a little deep dive into ourselves to meet those parts of ourselves that we've discarded, shunned, are in denial of. And there are a few possible reasons why we may do that, but typically it's due to something that we consider negative. That's why we've distanced ourselves from these parts. By doing shadow work, we begin the journey to being more at peace with them. Just because we push them down doesn't mean they no longer exist. They still come up, and we very likely find ourselves surprised by them. Like we can't believe we actually said that or did that. If you find the concept of shadow work interesting, take a look at the other videos on this channel to explore it more in depth. So let's get started. We don't follow any spread here. We are looking at the cards individually, and we ask ourselves questions based on the card meanings to do some reflecting and exploration. Let's take a look at our first card. It is Rescue. A question I'm going to put out there in relation to this card is, where in your life might you feel like you're drowning or overwhelmed? Allow this moment to be a safe space where you can admit that. Many of us are taught to be, quote-unquote, strong, in the sense of we don't admit that we're challenged. But when we are honest with ourselves about where we're facing difficulties, then we can actually seek help or even do something about it on our own. But if we don't admit to ourselves that, oh, this is actually really hard and this is painful, we might tend to keep soldiering on, or find that we are actually unable to move forward. So where in your life might you be feeling particularly challenged right now? And where might you allow yourself to ask for help? Sometimes pride keeps us from seeking assistance. Maybe in the past, someone shamed you for asking for help. Maybe you were told that you should be able to do that alone, or that's easy for everyone else. And so you might have put on a mask of, yes, I'm perfectly capable. But the thing is, though, we all have different strengths. And just because most other people are not challenged when it comes to a particular thing doesn't mean that you won't be, or that there aren't people who do find it difficult. And that's okay. It is what it is. Just because you've been shamed or scolded doesn't mean that the person who shamed or scolded you was in the right for doing that. And for some out there, it might even be that, in general, life is pretty difficult right now. So what can you do about that? What acts of self-care can you do for your well-being? Some people might need time to themselves, for example. You might need a break from talking to too many people, because it does take energy and bandwidth to answer messages, texts, emails, to respond to comments in this social media world of ours, or to even post comments, because sometimes you want to be supportive, so you make sure you greet everyone on your friends list happy birthday or something like that. Where might you need a break? And for those out there who know that you do need help and you can't do this alone, who are your allies and who can you turn to? If there aren't any existing safe spaces in your life right now, maybe this is something that you can look into. For instance, some people who are in difficult or even abusive home situations might be isolated now from friends and family. But are there organizations or communities, or is there a hotline that you can call? Of course, the situation's severity is different for everyone out there who's watching this. For some, it's more along the lines of you realize you're drowning in work or responsibilities, and it might be a matter of stepping back or shouldering less so that you can feel better. While for others, it might be vital that they escape the situation they're in if they want to continue to live. And everything I mentioned were simply examples to get your thoughts going on where this might be true for you. Where might you need rescuing, or how can you rescue yourself? Moving on to our second card, we have Mirror. Let me see if I can scoot her, there we go, to center it better. And let me move the light too, so that there isn't a glare on the card. There we go. The Mirror card is very fitting for shadow work. It's about looking at what's in front of you and doing your best to be honest in your assessment. Let's explore anything you might be feeling strongly about at this time in your life. Of course, you can also take a look at what makes you happy and what that tells you about yourself, how you've grown perhaps, because there's so much to appreciate in your life and you actually see that now, whereas sometimes it takes a while for us to truly learn about gratitude and appreciation. So by all means, make a gratitude list and be mindful of all the things that you see in your life and around you that bring you joy. But also, take a look at what might be annoying you, irritating you, angering you, so you can explore what that might be telling you about yourself. And this is in no way supposed to take the accountability from any wrongdoers out there. For instance, sometimes what angers us are crimes against other living beings, be they people or animals. But what about those instances when someone isn't doing anything to you? They're just being themselves, and you find that really irritating for some reason. What can we learn from something like that? Let's give an example. In this day and age, it seems like people find so much to be offended about. Even if you're living your life in peace and not imposing it on someone else, there's a lot of outspokenness and condemnation out there. We hear many expressing that they're offended, but unless someone is trespassing on your life, they actually don't owe it to you to take care of what's triggering you. When we find ourselves triggered, that's an indication of where we can do work on ourselves. And we don't put that on other people's shoulders. Like, oh, you use this term. And that term or that word in and of itself isn't offensive, but you yourself don't like it, so now you expect that person to stop saying it? Or you expect other people to stop using that word from now on? There's this saying that goes, we see things not as they are. We see things as we are. And that's what we're looking at here. What does what you see in your life tell you about yourself and where you could use some healing? Maybe we might realize that the reason we feel a certain way about certain people or certain actions is because it's in our background. It's what we were taught. It's how we were raised. And until now, we just didn't know it, and we've been operating on autopilot. This new awareness could be a mind opener so that we no longer keep operating the way we always have. Like if you find yourself with a very strong emotion towards something, your anger or your disgust or your distaste towards that thing means there's something wrong with it. You can see now if it's merely your programming or a reaction towards it. A lot of the time, once we work on our triggers and they no longer have the same power over us that they once did, those instances, events that used to trigger us begin to disappear. And I would say it's more like they're no longer on our radar. And this is an exercise that you can actually keep doing all throughout your life when you feel very strongly about something. That would be an invitation for us to take a deeper look and see what we can do about it deep within ourselves. So right now, where can you start? What situation is inviting you to take a look at it so you can see yourself through that thing? And now we have card number 3, which is magic. And let's move the light again. There we go. This card is a reminder of the power that we all have. Where in your life might you be giving your power away right now? Are there any situations that you can actually do something about what you're not happy about, yet you just keep living with it? For some, it might be friendships or relationships where you realize you're not being treated fairly or right. And maybe, without you really knowing it, low self-esteem or a belief that this is all you deserve has been keeping you from speaking up. Or maybe the power dynamic was just always that way from the beginning, and you allowed it to keep going, but now that you're doing self-awareness work, you're noticing it and how it disempowers you, and you want to make a change. For others, it could be that you're not happy with the job or career you're in. But as with the friends and relationships example, maybe you've been there for so long and you're only really starting to question it now. For others, it might be about little things. But yes, they do add up. Put them all together and making them more as you'd like them makes a huge difference in your experience of life, in your quality of life. Quote unquote, little things could be your house or your workspace is cluttered, and you're feeling like you'd be more at peace and at ease if it wasn't so. Some might not like the hairstyle that they've been wearing for so long now. Or maybe you have habits and routines that you've gotten so used to doing, but they're not really serving you. Here's a reminder that you can take inventory of those things. And don't feel like you have to make so many changes all at once. Just one change here and there can make a difference. And like we mentioned earlier, those do add up. And if there's something you want to change that seems like it's a very huge step, how about breaking it down and making each of those steps an accomplishment? For example, for someone, it might be that you want to move. If you've lived in the same place your whole life and it's good, but you're ready for something else, and you find that you're beginning to resonate with a different energy now. How about just for the heck of it, breaking down the steps that you would need to take so that you can make the move happen? And you can see it as simply having fun and playing and taking a look at the possibilities. When you look into it, there's no need to pressure yourself into thinking that you have to make this happen soon. It's okay to take baby steps. Putting one foot in front of the other, going day by day, it will all add up and make a difference. And it's true that for some, this will bring up wounds. If you've been taught that you're not capable, if it's been hammered into your head that you're never going to get far in life, you might have to deal with all that first and begin a healing or recovery journey. But still, the choice exists to heal or to stay where you are and to not move forward from there. Where or how is any of this true for you? Thank you so much for joining me for this video. If you enjoyed it, I invite you to take a look at the other videos on this channel to see if you like them too. And if you resonate, please give the videos a like, subscribe to the channel, and get notifications as well so you don't miss a thing. As I said, there are going to be some pretty exciting changes here, and we are in transition, but I am going to keep the content alive, whether it's through shorts or uploading at least one long-form video a week. Stay tuned for more content on healing, self-awareness, personal growth, shadow work, and a lot of tarot and oracle cards. I'll be back soon. In the meantime, do take care of yourself. Thanks so much for being here. Bye for now. More Diaries of a Witchy Creative Life are on their way.